This is game one in Setons versus World. Um, on the Seton team, well, this will be the World team. Garley playing as Aeon from Beach. He's got VIP, who's really a Setons player, playing ASF. In the middle, we got Ubergeek, and our rock, we got Colin. So that's the World team. They're taking on Dim, probably the best Setons player. Across from Garley, in the middle we got Asti Owls, a great mid player, and then we got Flying Kangaroo across from Colin is also Aeon, and Sith is also Aeon. So we see a whole bunch of players being Aeon. Garley, VIP, see some Cyber and Colin, but 3 Aeon players on the Seton side. The build order for Asti Owls is Factory 2 mass extractors. His first engine going to the Hydro. Contrast with Ubergeek, he's going 3 P-gens, 2 mass extractors, and a factory, and then going to the middle. So a little bit slower. You can see from far away that Asti is way ahead of him. He's got a pretty big plan. He's going to stop 2 times and extract about 7,000 mass here. You can see Dim is going second to Air Factory. Needs that transport to get to the island, and also using the adjacency to when he's upgrading his mass extractor from T1 to T2, get a 15 power bonus, so that's almost like having an extra P-gen. We see some Selines coming out from Asti, as well as some tanks. He's got 3 NGs at the Hydro that's going to be spamming P-gens. You know, a lot of power for this. And then a single engine. You got a plan for 6 more land factories. Plans for Uber. He's also going to get quite a few land factories, and very similar. He's at the Hydro, spamming power, but only 2 NGs. Speed this up a little more. So Colin also has a factory planned for air. He needs to drop into his island. He might get a fight from flying for that island, although it looks like flying is just getting his air. Going first to land. And we see a pretty early bomber from Dim. This is a 3-minute bomber going to the expanding territory from Garley. He's got 2 NGs moving this direction. Going to try to get those mass extractors. Garley does not have an air factory yet, so it's going to be very hard for him to counter this bomber. See VIP going with a whole bunch of air factories. Usually people use land factories to spam the NGs, but VIP going with air, which is kind of strange. And now we see Dim with his transport. He's got 5 units in it. He already has a whole bunch of plans for it. Looks like he drops off a single NG. And his bomber begins bombing the position where he's going to drop. He also has a bunch of interceptors going to the middle. See Garley starting air factory. And in the middle we do have a fight. Both ACUs pretty high on health. Not too much support yet, but some support is coming. It looks like Asti is getting quite a bit more mass. If we look at the mass numbers now at minute 5, Asti at 8,000. Ubergeek only at 2. So an extra 6,000 in the first 5 minutes for Asti. And this is getting pretty bad for Garley. We see he already lost 2 NGs, 2 mass extractors, and NG from Dim is going to get 3 free mass spots. Also, this bomber from Dim already has 7 kills, all for the most part all NGs. Now he's going to look for the NGs to kill from VIP. Some flares dropped off by Dim. Now Dim getting another 4 kills, not 11 kill bomber. 4 mass extractors, and the flares are harassing. Finally get killed off by an Aurora. In the middle we see Asti in the water, pretty low health. Doesn't have an engine, still trying to get some mass, and actually being successful at it. Landing for Ubergeek, and now runs away from, actually is dodging Artie with an NG. That's pretty awesome. Now we see this bomber at 15 kills. That's pretty devastating. 21 kills for this dim bomber. This is a bomber he built at minute 3. Bomber dies at minute 7. So excellent use of units, and we see that the NG from dim continues to roll through. This NG was dropped here, capturing mask extractors on its way. In the middle it seems to be a pretty even fight, although Asti is in the water. Pretty even numbers in terms of tanks. Now Ubergeek is just going to get a few more kills for veterancy. 18 kills for Ubergeek now, and 15 for Asti. We can see Sith looking for off maps, patrolling her T1 air. Does not want to get dropped on. Kola Colin basically ecoing. He's got a T2 factory, so that's a pretty early T2 factory, although it's already minute 9, so you can get some T2 bombers. Those are very useful. He's got 2 T1 naval factories, and so does flying. He has 1 naval factory, some frigates, and actually a submarine from Kola Colin returning. Now Garley is going to need to send some NGs in this area. 3 mass spots just sitting open. See VIP going with the 4 T2 PGen build, and looks like Sith is going to go with the 3 T2 PGen build, and she's going very early RAS. This is minute 9:30. She's halfway done with her first RAS. Now we see the 2 ACUs in the middle upgrading. A different Super Geek is underwater. You got some NGs supporting, and a floating arty fight. There's actually one on both sides. You see Owl's just got T2 on his ACU. He's going to build some T2 PD. It's very defensive from Owl. Expected something a little more aggressive from him. We see some T2 ground from Ubergeek. And the Phobo fight continues, and it looks like Ubergeek is going to win it on this side. And now some frigates from Dim coming in. They're really good against Phobos as long as they keep moving. See Dim's navy here. He's already got a T2 factory making a destroyer, and it appears that he's going to go for some T2 drops. So flying has been very quiet all game, basically playing extremely defensive, ecoing and making a navy. He also has a T2 air factory, getting some T2 PGens, although he probably doesn't need them since Sith has a pretty massive power already. Ubergeek with a gun upgrade. Moving up is going to run into some T2 PD. This should cause him to turn around. It really doesn't have the units to fight against Shield with T2 PD and a whole bunch of T1. So this T2 drop from Dim is going to be pretty devastating. Garley just got here to rebuild these mass extractors. And it looks like Garley could have easily stopped that drop if he used his Swift Winds instead of just collecting them in one spot. Yeah, this is 24 units plus 2 engines. He's going to get those mass spots right away. More T2 drops from Dim. At least a single drop, and now we see a cruiser coming out from Dim. He already has a destroyer on its way to the middle. Ubergeek going with some Yoshivas and the ACU. 45 kills for Ubergeek's ACU. So at this point it looks like Ubergeek is gonna turn back. Al is getting more T2PD. We see ASF force from Sith. She's not sending it in yet, but we do see VIP had to make T2 gunships. We also see ASF from Colin. Very strange to see ASF from the Rock player. And now we see some T2 drops from Dim. It's funny that Garly decided not to shoot those down. Not very friendly in terms of situation for Ubergeek is pretty bad now. And we do see Garly is on his got an ACU on a transport that is about to get shot. So that's minute 14. This could be bad for Sith if she lost a whole bunch of SF in that explosion. Actually, you see here, it's a pretty quick loss of that drop from Dim, so pretty good defense against that drop from Ubergeek. Now we see that VIP is moving in with his ASF. You probably thought that Sith just lost most of her ASF, but it doesn't look like it. And he's going to find out that there's a pretty big ASF force about to come in. And he's going to begin to lose ASF, and that's going to be a lot of nice mass chunks falling out of the sky that you should always reclaim. So Sith wins the early ASF battle. VIP is going to turn those back. Now we see T2 versus T2 action in the middle. Looks like Ubergeek was getting an upgrade, and STLs decided to make a push for it. Now Ubergeek, it appears that he see what he has. He has the restoration, so that's going to give him a lot of health. It's going to be very hard to kill this ACU. Still has a nice T2 force. However, the problem for Ubergeek is this T2 Navy. We see cruisers and destroyers are basically killing the NGs. If they can reach that T2 factory, it's going to be a big loss for Ubergeek. And I also see a bunch of T1 preventing Garly from going into the water, although it doesn't look like Garly wanted to go into the water. See a Cyber Navy from Colin. It's on minute 16. He's got a cruiser, a destroyer. He's working on another destroyer, a few subs, and also the stealth sonar platform. The Navy for flying is a lot of T2 subs and a whole bunch of frigates. So pretty good Navy, because the only early torpedo threat from Colin is his destroyer. These T1 subs are no match to those T2. If we look at Kola's island, it's very it's got a single T1 anti-air here. This is something that you'd love to drop onto and just kill all this stuff. That drop should also have NGs in it, so you can clean up all that mass. It's basically a gift. We see another successful drop from a Dim. This one's going to be supported by the Navy. And now we see that Ubergeek did lose that T2 factory. And we do see the ASF fight. That it's not clear who was one ASF, but Sith has ASF on the other side, and VIP making T2 gunships. It looks like he's planning to use them against this Navy from Dim. However, this single plane shot down a whole bunch of gunships, and now the VIP has switched back to ASF. Some opportunistic planes here from Sith. However, there's cruisers in the water here, so gunships are not going to last very long. And now we see Colin looks like he's turning back with his Navy. You see flying scouting, so he knows exactly what Kola has, so he should be pushing forward. He's playing it very safe. You see Owls basically just upgrading. He does have a T3 Seraphim ACU, so we might see a chicken from him pretty soon. See, it's a pretty nice spam of air from Sith. Still opportunistic planes here from Sith. Just got taken out. It's not too much action here at minute 18. Ubergeek has been beaten back by Dim's Navy, thinking about what to do. Colin and Flying have been staring at each other, with the Flying with a much superior Navy. We do see Colin actually going for nuke. There's about 7,000 mass here just wasted on this anti-nuke from Colin. And we do see a nuke from VIP as well. So it's about 3/4 done. Nuke. Looks like Colin has a whole bunch of torpedo bombers as well. Yeah, and the remnants of Garley's base. See more drops coming in from Dim. This game would be a lot better if Flying would attack. Or here, if instead of Garley, there was somebody like Setons or Scruffy. Make this game a lot more even. So ASF has control of air, and Dim is basically just dropping, has total control of his navy. And Flying is happy with just sitting there. However, he should be scouting for that nuke. If you look at what Flying sees, he really has no idea that there's a nuke here. It looks like a cruiser spam from Dim. And now another drop. Successful drop from Dim. However, nothing to kill. Here's another drop. NG's, it's going to be a lot of mass. Free mass for Dim. And now we see a scout from Flying. He gets taken out. Curious to see if he did see the nuke. He did not. It was killed just in time by the cruiser. So VIP has abandoned his nuke. Is almost done with it. Not clear why I abandoned it. Probably has power problems. And now Flying is beginning to move forward. In the middle we see Asti has started to check in this minute 19. And actually Asti pushed through with some T1, but easily countered by tags Ubergeeks, ACU, and Yoshiva's. More scouting from Flying, and after a few scouts he probably is realizing he's got the superior navy. He's got a whole bunch of shields. This is really a cheap way to use Aeon, but it works. So not much of a base left for Ubergeek. He's working on T2 area. He's got a T2 transport. He might use his ACU as a bomb or something like that. So not too much happening. If we look at the nuke, it's just been completed. Starting to work on the missile. Looks like Colin is spamming torpedo bombers, and the nuke has been spotted. So spotting that nuke might cause Colin to either make his anti-nuke, he's got planned for an anti-nuke, or really attack hard and try to take that nuke out with his navy. And it looks like Ubergeek's ACU has been spotted as well. So very uneventful last 5 minutes. We see a chicken that's 2/3 done at minute 21 from Asti. Would have been nicer if Asti just moved in with his ACU and some T2. And now we see the micro of the Navy from Flying. He's pushed his T2 subs and frigates forward, followed by the shields and the T2 Navy under the shields. So all the valuable targets are protected, and all the shots are going to be fired at all these cheap units. The cheap units give line of sight. But really the numbers here, the advantage for Flying is so large it doesn't really matter. We're going to see an ASF fight between Sith and VIP, and Sith does have numbers. She has numbers in this area, and she also has a whole bunch of ASF elsewhere. It's a total air domination from Sith. Not surprising given that Dim bombed VIP's NGs, and the mass difference from the middle was very big between Ubergeek and Asti. So we see within about 40 seconds the Navy from Kola disappeared. That's pretty devastating. Also, this island should have never been allowed to be given to Colin, and after he took it, it was never properly protected. It should have been dropped on. So flying plane very, very cautiously. So you can see torpedo bombers are really not a good counter to Navy. They're a good counter to a single ship somewhere, but not to a well-protected Navy. This nuke from Kola is about halfway done, and the nuke from VIP was never actually finished. And now it appears that Ubergeek has given his base 72 kills. He has sent an NG over to Kola saying, "I die free." Whatever that means, but appears that he's going for a suicide, and that's a suicide note. You can see a Navy under shields is especially versus stationary targets. It's very good. It's a pretty big torpedo bomber spam, but it's not going to do anything. And now VIP has thrown in the towel even before Ubergeek. So I realized there's absolutely no chance. So kind of a sad game, not too much happening. We saw a fight where really after 5 minutes there was about a 6,000 mass advantage for the top side that Asti gave him. Then Gowrley was dominated by Dim. We see here Sith actually looking for people going off map. So there goes VIP. Gowrley had no chance against Dim, but really it would have been the same even if it wasn't Gowrley. And after that it was kind of bad. Sith took air, and Kola and flying was pretty much a mismatch as well.